Wiccaface Springs Eternal is a savant when it comes to music. For 2 decades, he has dominated the underground music scene, first in the band Tiger's Jaw, and now as a solo artist. In this conversation, we talk about the bands that he was almost in, the wrestlers that he's written music for, and so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing? It is Case Lowe from Q101. This is a Case 4, a show in which I have coerced management into letting me talk to my favorite artists in the world. And we are in the bowels of Thalia Hall today. A very special guest with me, somebody I'm delighted to finally meet, to hang out with, to talk to. It is Adam, Wiccaface Springs Eternal. How are you, my friend?
I'm well, thank you.
This is a big day for me. It's a big day for you. You're wearing sunglasses indoors. Is that what you normally do?
Yeah. At shows, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't explain it. It's just a little more fun, I guess.
I agree. You look cool as hell.
Thanks.
I would say in general, sharp dresser.
Thank you.
You're a man that knows your way around a closet.
I suppose so. I could learn more. Brody, who DJs for me, is way better dresser than I am. But, yeah, I don't know. You know, I just wore something very similar to my last show, and then the owner of my label responded to a story of a picture of me from that, and he said, "Wow, you look super famous." That is really why I wear the sunglasses.
I would agree with that. If I
Thank you.
didn't know you and I saw you walking down the street, I'd be like, well, that guy is important.
Well, I also want people to think that I'm important.
Your job well done. Mission accomplished, dare I say.
Thank you.
Yes, no, you're killing it. You're back in Chicago. Can I ask, do you remember the first time you played here? Any memories of the city come to mind and the time you've spent in the Windy City?
Yeah, the first time I played here, any music at all was with Tiger's Jaw, band I used to be in. That would have been 2009, 10, or something like that. We played the Beat Kitchen. Great show. Went back there a couple times with them. With Wiccaface, I played Subterranean a couple times.
There's a Wiccaface show at Sub T. Sorry to cut you off, but it's on my list of great regrets in life. I'm not a man of many regrets, but when you guys played there with Glitterer a few years ago,
Yeah.
I could have gone, didn't go. A great regret in my life now.
I'm sorry.
I feel horrible about it. I should have been there.
Yeah, you should have been. Yeah, you should have been. No, I don't know. But yeah, I think that was the last time I played. Actually, at Subterranean, that Glitterer show. Yeah,
I heard it was really good. I talked to people that were there. They're like, yeah, it was awesome. You should have been there. I was like, I was doing nothing tonight. I don't know why I wasn't there.
Chicago is historically a Wiccaface city. I don't
Really?
know what it is, but yeah, top city on Spotify, top merch sales, everything like that. So the shows are always great too.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
I heard a story about you recently.
Oh boy.
I don't know if this is true or not. Shed some light on it for me if you wouldn't mind. Is it true that you were almost a member of the band Angel Dust?
Yes. My friend Nick, who used to be in that band, told me he was starting a band called Angel Dust with Justice. And I didn't believe that band would ever... I didn't think they would do anything. So I said no. And I said that's one of my great regrets. Is I don't know what my life would be like now if I was in Angel Dust.
The Turnstile Pipeline's right there. I mean,
The Turnstile Pipeline is there.
All of a sudden, you're playing guitar at Riot Fest, or you could have weaseled your way into a big famous rock band,
That's right.
and you look like you're famous. It would have worked out great.
Yeah, I think they look more famous than I look on a day-to-day basis, though.
They look pretty cool, man.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, they really are. I ask about Angel Dust, one, because great band, and I had just heard that, and I thought, oh my God, that's so fun. But two, Justice Trip, a fascinating human being.
Fantastic, fascinating, mysterious.
Very mysterious.
Yes.
I tried to get him on this show last time he was in Chicago, and the person that I reached out to was like, yeah, he's just going to be at the gym all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would love to, but he's not going to. He's just going to be at the gym all the time, which I really respected. But, go ahead, please.
I don't know if I had anything to say. We have the same birthday, me and Justice.
That's fun.
Yeah, we did a birthday photo shoot years ago when we were on tour together. It was a Wiccaface Angel Dust tour, and we had a photographer with us. And me and Justice took a bunch of pictures just in the gym at a piano.
Can I ask when your birthday is?
March 11th.
Does that make you a Pisces?
Yes, it does.
Do you feel like a Pisces?
Yes.
Good. They're romantic.
Yes.
My man. Anyways, about Angel Dust.
Yes.
About Justice Tripp. I think much like yourself, one of the single most charismatic people in all of music. Every time I see Justice, I go, he should be a gajillionaire. He's incredible. And I feel like the same way about you. And I feel like there's a lot of people in your web, let's say the 6 Degrees of Wicca phase, that are just miraculous performers and incredibly charismatic. Who are the people that you've come across in your 2 decades of music that you are continuously impressed by their charisma or their raw talent? Who blows you away?
I mean, Justice is right up there. Daniel Fang from Turnstile, their drummer, also just an incredible confidence when he plays. It's not so much the stage presence. He is a great performer, and he's really exciting to watch, but it's just his confidence, and he's confident to the point where he's able to relax and have fun. That is really unique and like not something that I've mastered. So I look up to him for that. Growing up, there were kids that were a couple years older than me playing in punk and ska bands that even watching them as a 13-year-old, and they might have been 14 or 15, I just thought they were the coolest people, and there is no level of fame higher than what they were achieving at that point. And to this day, I still kind of look up to them in a weird way and wonder, like, if they have any idea what I'm doing now, what would they think of what I'm doing now? I don't know. Jeremy Guzzi, Tom May, who plays in the Menzingers, so he is actually, like, super successful.
Not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. Danny Zazeski. I'm just naming kids from my hometown now, but
they've all got cool names.
Yeah, but I mean, I grew up around super talented people too. Shane, all the Title Fight guys: Shane, Ned, Ben, Jamie, Andy Saba, super charismatic. He plays in a band called the Virgos now, but he played in Nails. I don't know. All my friends are musicians, and all my friends are charismatic. So I feel bad leaving people out, but those are some of them.
It's funny you say that thing about fame and just, having people in your life at a young age who you just go, well, they're the top of the mountain. Not to put any pressure on you, but any band that was associated with Run for Cover circa 2013 to maybe 2018, when I was getting into that scene, I go, well, these are the greatest musicians of all time. These are the people that, like, I became so obsessed with, like, I will talk until the end of time about the band Captain We're Sinking. The Future is Canceled.
Yeah.
That record, that band, so underappreciated. That record, so underappreciated.
It's an incredible record.
Yeah. Just a band that got nowhere near the amount of love they deserved.
No. There's a lot about that band that's underappreciated. I think people overlook Bobby and Leo as vocalists. They're incredible vocalists. And I think it's overlooked. I don't even know if people know just how much work they put into their vocals to sound good together. The two of them working together on harmonies. I went to high school with Leo. Leo, I knew of Leo from shows. And then when I went to a new high school, people were like, hang out with Leo and his friends. They're the punks, And he would practice every day hitting higher and higher notes. And then he met Bobby, and Bobby was doing the same thing. And then they would do it together. And it shows. They're incredible singers, incredible songwriters, working together. I can't say enough about that band. I was also in that band with Ben Walsh briefly.
What bands were you almost in or in for a moment? Are there any other ones?
Yeah, I was in. It's mostly me and Ben. Me and Ben were in. This is Ben Walsh from Tiger's Jaw. We were in a band called the Green Chair for a while. Early Tiger's Jaw days. They were a local band that we loved and somehow joined. I don't know how that happened. And then we were kicked out of that. We helped start Captain We're Sinking. We're kicked out of that.
You helped start the band and then you got kicked out?
Well, I mean, it was Bobby and Leo's band. I was the first bass player, and then Ben was the first drummer. I was in a band called Bad Seed with Ben Walsh, and we got kicked out of that. I was in a band called the Paul Roguy band with Ben, and we got kicked out of that. I don't know what it is.
It was a journey to get here. I'm glad you're here.
I guess so.
It shaped you. It shaped the man you became.
I guess so. I'm okay with rejection.
I want to go back to Run for Cover in a second, but can we get a status update? Because I want to make sure you didn't get kicked out of this band. The status of Pay for Pain. Are we still making music together?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Pay for Pain. See, here's no one in Pay for Pain was ever great at making decisions for a band. So for the three of us to join forces, it makes it really tough for anything to get done. We've also had bad luck keeping a lead guitar player. So that kind of it didn't make us disenchanted or anything like that. It's just another hurdle, right? And we don't need another hurdle.
No.
The last thing Pay for Pain needs, last thing any band that's just starting needs is a hurdle, right? And we don't need another hurdle. But we have Matt now, our friend Matt, who has played with Pat and Dennis for years in a band called Three Man Cannon. I think he'll help us get organized. He's a great player too. And we're just trying to do it, We're trying to get together. We're trying to write new songs. We all have songs. It's just a matter of getting together and playing them. A lot of those guys have kids too, and that makes it a lot more difficult than I realized.
I've learned this working with people that have kids and young kids. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I mean, God bless them, but it
seems
sucks.
tough. It seems tough. So it's even hard for me to suggest a band practice, when I know that they have families.
I was going to suggest coming to Chicago, but that seems like it's going to create hurdles. Because let me tell you, that EP, that got me through 2020. That is a phenomenal record.
Thank you. They're all great players. I'm so fortunate to have always played with Pat and Dennis in any band that I've been in. For an extended period of time, because they're two of the best players that I know, and I am just so lucky to work with them. And Matt, I've always looked up to Matt. He's someone super charismatic, local, peer of mine. We're the same age. I might be a year older than Matt. Always looked up to him. Always thought, man, he was so cool. When I first met him, I knew he was the coolest person in that scene. So I'm super honored to be in a band with him now. And he recorded the last new Wicker Phase album that's coming out pretty soon. So,
is that going to come out on Run for Cover?
If they like it,
okay.
I believe so. It's a EP. It's 7 or 8 songs. I sent it to them, so I'm waiting to hear back. I don't know. I don't know if they. Yeah.
Because can I ask about your experience just being on Run for Cover for as long as you have between a few different projects now? Because for me, that is the mecca of underground music. I make an effort to listen to everything they put out. I've told the story on the show before. The first time I heard Modern Baseball changed my life, and then the first time I heard Fiddlehead, I was like, "What? How did it take somebody so long to do this? This is exactly what I need right now." And I would put your most recent record up there with anything that label's ever put out.
Well, thank you. It's weird. I've been on Run for Cover now for over half of my life, which is really bizarre. And they're the best. I've never been on another label, but I've been approached by other labels, and I've seen what other labels have to offer, and I see what people have to say about their labels when they're not signed to Run for Cover. And I always just think I am so lucky to be with them. They help me with anything I need, whether that's uploading a YouTube video or linking me with producers like Ben Greenberg or whoever, whatever the case might be. They've always been super supportive. There's really no question as to whether I have their support, and I imagine that's rare for artists. I see what other people say about their labels, and it's not always as highly regarded as how I speak of Run for Cover.
When you were in Tiger's Jaw, were you guys ever approached by any major labels, or is that something that only came later? Am I correct in
I don't think
the assessment that was after Peep died, that you were maybe approached by some majors just for the Wicca Phase stuff?
Yeah, that's how it worked. I think also I was in Tiger's Jaw, signed to Run for Cover for a 3-record deal, and it was after. Well, it was right before we recorded that third album, Charmer, that I left.
That you said deuces.
Yeah, but I still recorded that album and stuff, and still wrote for it. But
what would you do? perhaps the best Tiger's Jaw track there is.
You know, I think Pat's song on that record is super good. I Envy Your Apathy.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the most adult-sounding Tiger's Jaw song, I think.
Interesting. That's funny, because what would you do? I don't know if you know this, but they always go, that's like the Morrissey equivalent of a Tiger's Jaw song.
Do they?
Yeah, that's what the internet's saying.
On where? Who is saying this?
YouTube comments.
Oh,
dog.
YouTube comments?
Yeah, which
Okay.
don't read, by the way.
Okay.
Bad idea. I will not
Okay.
be reading YouTube comments for this video.
Okay.
But they're all
No, I
positive on
won't
that
either.
song.
Cool. What
We're
were we
talking about major labels.
Oh yeah, no. So no, I saw through that contract, and then that wasn't it. It wasn't like I quit because the contract was fulfilled, but it seemed like a tidy time to do it, you know. And then after that, I think they did their own negotiations moving forward. But no, it was just like 2017, 2018 when I had some offers, and then was asking Run for Cover what to do, and they said, "Why don't you just sign with us?" And I said, "I didn't know that was an option." So went back home.
Can you talk about any maybe weird things that major labels did with you to try to court you, to win you over?
They booked me on Billboard Hot 100 Fest.
Naturally.
Yeah, which you know, that's not really something that was in the pipeline before that. They, you know, took me to Nobu. They took me to funny birthday parties. I met Miley Cyrus. I met Diplo. You know, stupid stuff like that. And I was just someone's plus one. You know, someone trying to get me to sign to a label, and I was just. I don't know. To this day, I don't know, like, why me. I do understand that it's because of the Peep connection and stuff, and it was right after he passed, and they were looking for someone. They could have manufactured someone. They could have plucked, you know, whatever.
I would argue they went on to do that.
Yeah, I would too.
I think once you said no, they were like, well, wait a minute, we have the tools to pluck somebody out of obscurity?
I think they plucked a bunch of them out of obscurity, but yeah.
Can we talk about Pete for just a second?
Yeah, of course.
The first time you met him, did it click with you that he was this comet that, you know, was just so obviously going to achieve fame in some sort of degree?
Yeah, 100%. Even before I had met him and the way my friends were talking about him, I thought it was odd that someone that they were working with, you know, they were so confident in and so sure of. And then I talked to him. I think it was either Horsehead or Coldheart suggested that he join Goth Boy Clique, or maybe both of them, Fishnark, Macnet, whoever. And I was like, well, I'd like to meet him or at least have a phone conversation with him. And it was just a great conversation. He's so mature. You know, he knew what to do. He had goals. His approach to the music, what he liked about music made sense to me, you know, what he was after. And yeah, so it was super, super obvious. And then I met him in person, and it was the same thing. He knew all of our songs. You know, he was a smart guy.
Do you look back, do you have any opinions on the discourse of the time? Because I speak to this obviously as somebody representing an alternative radio station, and that genre of music at that point in time upset the apple cart a little bit. I think there are a lot of people that were really struggling to put this in a box and struggling to figure out what it was. And it admittedly took me a little bit to go, wait, what's happening here? And then people hate new things at first, and then it came to me, and I was like, oh wait, no, I like the energy of this, but it seemed like it was something that, quite honestly, frightened people in real time.
I think so. People don't like new things. You just said it.
They do not.
Until they do. And I don't know. I mean, even when I first started doing it, I didn't know what I was specifically trying to do. It was different than when I was 14 or 15 years old, saying to myself, I want to start a punk band that sounds like this, so I'm just going to do that. It wasn't that. It was a lot of trial and error. All I wanted to do was be a solo artist and work with electronic stuff. That was it. And then eventually that morphed into producing my own stuff, then linking up with other producers, realizing, oh, this is a thing where it's almost like I have a backing band, right? Someone creating these songs. I'm Morrissey, right? I'm just showing up to practice, singing the songs, writing the songs, or whatever, right? Except I'm doing it in my house. Don't clip that. I'm Morrissey, by the way. I'm not Morrissey, but I felt like a band leader. And then eventually, you know, that morphed into, I think, I'm not saying that I did that, but I think that's how a lot of people kind of early on started within the genre. If they came from a band background or something like that, like I did. Other people came from a rap background where just rapping over beats was the norm, and there was nothing really weird. The weird thing is sometimes now you're singing more on it, you know?
For sure. For sure. Real quick before I let you go, we have to talk wrestling.
Yeah.
Because it's you and I.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to do. You performed Darby Allin's theme song for All Elite Wrestling. Can you talk to me about how that came about and the reception that maybe you've gotten from the AEW fans about that?
Yeah, Darby was booked for well, here's what happened. I have always been a huge wrestling fan. And I a couple of years ago thought it would be cool as a fan of Darby Allin on the Independents when he was in Evolve or wherever. I wanted to do a T-shirt collab with him. He had no idea who I was. He thought I was either a designer who just wanted to make him a T-shirt, or I don't know. But he was surprised to see my face on the T-shirt that I designed for him, you know. And then then we started talking a little bit more about music and stuff like that. He came to a Wicca Phase Angel Dust show in Connecticut when an indie booking got canceled. And it was either there or shortly after, a couple of months later in Atlanta, he asked me to do a song for him for the Indies. And then that took a little bit, but then AEW started, and he was like, I'd really love for you to do the AEW song. It's going to be big. So I did it with Willie Yip. You know, I wrote it super quick. Darby sent me some references tempo-wise. I wrote it super quick, recorded it, you know, a week later, and yeah, that's how that worked.
Does it hit you that you're now a part of wrestling history? You think about how
it's
many times,
incredible.
Like that song has been played before some of the biggest matches of the last, 10 years in North America.
Yeah, it's incredible. And you know, I mean, we talked about like charismatic people. You have to be charismatic to be a wrestler, but Darby is even one of the most charismatic wrestlers I've ever met. You know, he's so it's. I knew that on a big stage it would work for him. I knew he'd make it work and that he'd be attention grabbing and stuff. I did not know that he would be like a hero to children now and stuff like that. So yeah, when he's doing big stuff with Sting, with you know whatever matches he's doing, it's crazy that I have the tiniest part of that sometimes.
Sting technically knows who you are now.
And Sting was my favorite when I was a kid. You know, I couldn't watch Raw. My bedtime was 9. WCW Nitro started at 8, so I'd be able to watch I'd be able to watch the first hour of Nitro, and that's how I became a wrestling fan. And so I was a Sting fan, of course, and it's, you know, my mom knows who Sting is now, and it's incredible.
2 more questions for you before I let you go. 1, can you please talk Darby out of climbing Mount Everest?
No,
I'm very worried about him.
I went to his going away party before he broke his foot. We had a show in Atlanta the night before he had a party. I played at his house to like 10 of his friends and most of his family, and just a private Wicca Phase set. It was pretty funny, and the whole time I was just like, please don't do this, you know, and you can't talk him out of anything. You can't talk him out of anything. He tries to talk me into stuff. He tried to get me to be a fake Sting. It might have been for Forbidden Door, where he had a couple up in the rafters, or something. I think that's what it was. And I was like, oh, I'm so afraid of heights. Like, I cannot do that.
He was going to have you up in the...
He was going to have me... Yeah, I was going to be a fake Sting up in the rafters. Here in Chicago. And he talked me into it until I went to my wife and I said, I'm terrified. Just call him back. It was 10 minutes after. She was like, oh, don't let him make you do this. And he did almost make me do it. You know, he's fearless. He's the stuff I've seen him do just on a Saturday afternoon at his house is incredible. You know, for no reason, for an audience of 5, like, but you know, we're kind of opposites in that sense. I'm not a thrill seeker, really. I'm not an adrenaline junkie. And I do think that's kind of why we get along a little bit.
I would agree with that. Final question for you, and I'm going to go
course.
back to praising you obtusely for just a second, if you don't mind. We just talked about how people, more often than not, don't like new things. I know that especially working in radio, people hate new songs. And then they like them, but they hate them at first. Moving Without Movements, song you did.
Yes.
I did not have that scenario. I heard it the first time, and I said, I'm going to need to hear this a lot more immediately.
Thank you.
This is a tune. This is
Thank
what
you.
songwriting is. Can you talk to me about just the creation of that song and the very cool, to come full circle, talk about a video where you look cool, that music video.
Yeah. That song, it's essentially a Tiger's Jaw song. A lot of my Tiger's Jaw songs are that tempo, that drum beat. Bob Barnett from Captain We're Sinking calls it the Tiger's Jaw bop. It's like the same tempo that's in I Saw Water and Cool and a bunch of Slow Come On. It's just, whatever. It's that translated to electronic drum setting, because I like having electronic drums when I'm playing live if I'm not playing with a full band. I like the hardness of the kick and the snare and stuff. The program kick and snare. So Darcy, I did a demo of it, but essentially that Tiger's Jaw drum beat with really cool Darcy Bayless drums that are kind of 80s sounding, but also pretty modern sounding. Kind of reminds me of the 1975. And I just knew, big shining synths, and start the song off right away, really a very short instrumental intro, keep the song as short as possible, big chorus. And I rarely write songs like that thinking about big choruses or shiny synths or anything. I'm usually thinking the opposite of that. And it kind of worked, it worked for you.
It's awesome.
You just said it.
That is a fantastic song.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
of course. Thank you for your time. Before we go, is there anything you want to plug?
Quickly.
Yeah.
Did you ask me about Moving Without Movement because of Rich?
No, our mutual friend Rich, who we're going to go get dinner with in just a second. No, I don't know anything about this.
He came up with the title of that song.
He's never told me that.
Speaking about Matt Hardy debuting in AEW, and he said he was sick of the Moving Without Movement. Because Matt Hardy was teleporting around the arena. It was the empty arena show.
Big thumbs down for that, by the way.
Yeah, and that's where the title comes from.
I did not know that.
I completely forgot about that. But yeah, that's Rich. And I wrote the lyrics after that. So
that's fantastic.
yeah.
All right. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
No. What to Phase Sprint Eternal on social media and whatever. WhatToPhase.store is my web store. That's it, really. Thanks for having me. This was a ton of fun. I hope I didn't talk too much.
No, this was delightful. This is a Case 4 on Q101's YouTube channel. Every week we talk to cool people like this. You can check out my interviews with Jeff Rosenstock or Military Gun or The Hotelier. All of the cool bands that you like if you like him. I've probably talked to them. You can follow me on Instagram @_CaseLow, CaseLowe. And thank you so much once again.
Thanks for having me.